Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. What do we have here? Frank Miller, Ronin. Dude, this is going to be cool. I've been kind of craving to see this book lately. I'm a storyteller now. It's official. I'm working away on my heavy metal story. I've got pages done. I'm learning a lot. I'm pretty proud of the work that I'm doing. And, I'd highly recommend checking out my Patreon. That's all I'm going to say. I'll just drop that there. But yeah. So I have been really, really curious to check this book out. I've had it for a while. I actually have all three of these gallery style edition books that Frank Miller work has been collected in. So there's a Ronin one, there's a Sin City, and then there's the Dark Knight. And this was the first one that I got, believe it or not. And why did I get it? Because it's a little off the beaten path, and I like stuff like that. I like stuff that challenges me as a viewer. I like stuff that is different and not sometimes the mainstream focus. It's just kind of how I'm wired. And so people on Patreon know I had talked about a book last week. I did do a Super Fun Sunday last week. I just did it for Patreon only. Yeah, so a lot of times I will pick these books because I think that they challenge me. I have the comic books of this, and I've read part of it. I've never, I don't think, read the whole story. But so this is an interesting sort of twist and turn in Miller's career, and it's really, really beautifully drawn, and it focuses on a very unique kind of European and Japanese meshed style. And, Frank's really, really good, layouts and storytelling. So I think that we've looked at a little bit of this book for a while. That's awesome. I feel like we've looked at a little bit of this book before. So what I'm going to do is we'll look at like a 2 or 3 of the pages in order. And then we're going to kind of hop to maybe like a further point of the book just for the heck of it. So welcome to Super Fun Sunday. What is it going to be? It's going to be super fun. All right. Man, that is cool. So look, this is the first thing that I'll say, because when I was looking at the cover, this was one thing that I noticed. I'll use the example of like Frank Cho does a lot of these drawings where he does this kind of serpillary like rendering all over everything. The reality is a lot of that detail is just nonsense. And what I mean by nonsense is it is he's just creating a light value over everything. The key values are the shading, which doesn't need all the other lines over it. Like this drawing, if you look at it from far back, do you see the darker areas? That's really what sells the image. The white obviously has its own thing, but everything like on the forehead, that's all one value. That's like a 25% gray. So it creates a hum. I mean, in this, there's actually a little more contrast because of the black, white, and grays. But, I think that I sometimes worry with the Cho stuff that people are going to get caught up and think that they need to like render all over everything. And honestly, you don't. So anyway, seeing this made me think of that, but it's like, do you see how he's got it open? The light value of gray is just that. It's just value. And I would say that, I worry about sequential artists. Like, look, if you're doing pinup art, anything goes. But I'm sort of bored with like variant covers and pinups. I still enjoy it just for the pure fact that I like to see drawings, but I want to see people telling stories. That's what I'm into. That's my thing. So when you're telling a story, you're going to draw a lot of pages, and so you need to be ready to go, and you need to come up with a formula that is going to see. I told you, I knew that the detail would have to drop out on this stuff. Frank is pretty crazy though in his early days. He would dig in, but you want to pick your spots. So if you're gonna attempt to do storytelling, you want to be mindful of that. This is Aaron Weisenfeld was definitely into this, man. That face right there is very Weisenfeld. The one on the left, this guy right here, this looks like something right out of Team 7. So yeah, I'm a huge Frank Miller fan. Definitely put him in my top 10 favorite like comic book storytellers. His stuff is just fun. I mean, he really brought great influences into comic books as an American comic book artist, and it's difficult to cover the whole globe but for stuff that was produced in the U.S., Frank is really, I think, influential and has been a real creative force, which is awesome. This is great. So the one thing that I'm noticing doing my pages is, like you start to put a level of importance into certain panels, and you're mindful of how fast you want to move people through certain images, and you can do it by having a consistent level of detail or less detail. Those things tend to become the norm, and then you'll move through them quicker, and then anything that's different than that will kind of slow you down. So the contrast above here, you're really going to focus on those top two panels because they're quite a bit different than these, and these sort of move you through a bit quicker. So look, you're going to get a little bit of a storyteller spotlight on this too. I've learned a lot, man. I'm telling you, like, I throughout each page and each panel that I'm working on, I'm just tripping out on not only how much I'm learning, but how much that I learned in the past that I'm able to utilize. It's been really, really cool having all this stuff at kind of like at my, in my toolbox and kind of ready to go. And it's only going to get better. This is really only my first story. I mean, I keep telling people, like, wait until I've done like 60 or 100 pages. It's going to be pretty crazy. I think it should be pretty exciting. So, but Frank is definitely someone that pops into my mind. I don't see myself drawing like Frank, but I definitely think that I would learn a lot from his storytelling. Okay, so we're going to skip a little ahead now, and we'll get to a little further on it, 'cause the styles start to really sort of change quite a bit. Man, it's wild. It's almost illegible. That's crazy. Again, it's value. I mean, that's like how you see it. I'm auto-focusing is the dark areas are what sell it, and then the lighter areas give you a little bit of breathing room and show sort of like the different planes and stuff. But this will be a difficult thing to learn from. It's almost like Arthur Adams is another guy where I see Arthur's covers and I just feel sorry for people that are huge fans of his that are going to try to like emulate that and do any kind of like body of work, because it's going to spend a lot of time and you're not going to do a lot of drawings that way. And especially if you're penciling and inking yourself, you're doubling the time that you're going to spend. So, again, be mindful of what you're setting out to do, because if you're setting out to tell stories, look at how many comic books those artists that you're looking at draw. And then also, if they do sometimes draw stories, let's look at their style. Is it the same? Do they use the same delivery? This is really, really nicely done. It's interesting, too, as you can see, he cut these panels out. That's the nice thing about these. Yeah, this is all... Each tier is its own strip of art. So he did these separately. I've been tempted to do that. It's funny that he did that, but the heavy metal story that I'm doing is the dimensions are square. And here's another one where he cut it out. Okay. Yeah, because I want to work a little bit bigger, but I didn't have a way to really print at home my layout to draw it at a different scale. Like if I wanted to do it 13 by 13 instead of 11 by 11, I wanted something that I could scan easily at the end. But what I find is the 11 by 11 dimensions, it is challenging to lay out pages that way, because you're losing 6 inches of height on a page. A normal comic book page would be 11 by 17 with the active art area being about 10 by 15. So, I'm squeezing in, stuff on a square page, and you have to draw kind of small. It'll be nice to the next thing that I'm going to do right after this is I'm really only going to focus on storytelling, believe it or not. I think that's what I want to do, and as soon as I finish the heavy metal story, I'm immediately going into I'll be working on Blaster Kid, and then some samples that I think will get people really, really excited. I'll leave that as a little bit of a surprise, but yeah, between the two, that'll keep me pretty busy. So it should be fun. People had been asking me how long it was taking for me to draw pages. But between penciling and inking, they've been taking about 20 hours. So, 3 to 8 hours to pencil it, and then about the same to ink it. I leave a little bit of wiggle room in the inks for extra detail, and I'm getting more and more confident with just drawing kind of with ink. Not across the board. I definitely, if I'm not sure about something, I'll pencil it in first. But yeah, with experience, things are starting to get easier and easier for me. It's funny because I was joking with a friend of mine about things that I've had to draw a lot that like you're like, whoa, okay, if I ever need to do this, I'm like good to go. I've actually drawn this enough times where computers and some of those stuff. I don't want to have any spoilers here on YouTube what the story's about, but. So anyway, hopefully everyone's having a nice day, and if not, hopefully it's going to pick up and be a good day. Buckethead is on tour. I'm very, very excited. I'm going to be scouring YouTube for Buckethead videos from the shows while I'm working today. Listen to that in the background. I'm a huge fan of his, and he started his tour, I think, 2 nights ago in Arizona, and I'm like, oh, God. He's kind of like the Mobius of guitar. In a weird way. That would be a good analogy for kind of like what he's done. His body of work is tremendously huge, and it's quite varied. And I really respect that. And I respect Mobius. I'm a huge fan of his thought process. It's going to be fun, man. I had a real rough patch. I'm not even going to lie. I'm kind of out of the weeds now, but the last 2 months has been brutal. It was really, really difficult. I know I've alluded to it here and there on YouTube, and I think people that follow my Patreon kind of know, but man, from the beginning of January, I could not find any work, and it was just like every book was already booked, or the penciler inks themselves now, and I was not having any luck, and this Megadeth opportunity. Oh, you didn't hear that? Heavy metal. I'm like, should I edit that out? No, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but so I got that, but that was only like a couple of weeks worth of work in theory. Sorry, I'm trying to grab the page. This is actually very, very cool though. Yeah, I was freaking out, and I was really at a point where I didn't know what to do because I have to have a steady income, like probably most of you, if you don't live at home with like your parents. For me, doing art is a job, and if I don't have work for 2 months, that's not good. That is not good at all. So, I finally lined up about 6 or 7 months worth of work, and then of course the next day I get a really nice offer for something else that I had to pass on because I'd already committed to something else. So it was interesting. It was like things did work out, but the cats are starting to fight. They're like, he's on YouTube. Stop. Like, what is it about YouTube and YouTube guys being such freaks? They really want a YouTube channel. That's what I think it is. Oh man, I have to tell you guys this quick story. So yesterday I was chatting with the writer of the story that I'm working on, and I had sent him a layout, and it was kind of raining yesterday, and all of a sudden the stuff started falling from the sky, and I was like, what was that, like trash or something blowing in my backyard? And we have these crows. Like I'm kind of by the beach, so the crows are like a new thing. I'm trying to turn the page and I can't grab it. So we have crows that fly all over. We also have wild parrots. Dude, the crows got a hold of a hawk and they tore it up over my house, and pieces of hawk were falling all over my backyard. It happened really fast, but it was so gross. I felt so bad for the hawk too, because I see them flying around. There's not many, but they're beautiful, beautiful birds. And yeah, these crows just, man, they mauled it. It was gnarly. So I took it as a sign. No, I was kidding. Oh. He didn't like that head, apparently. These panel borders are interesting. He's really got a very vibrant inking line. Man, it's pretty wild. I'm assuming it's some kind of a quill he's using. It doesn't really look like brush. It's a little too sharp looking to be a brush, but who knows? I mean, I'm not the best at picking that out, but this looks like some kind of a calligraphy pen or something he's using. Man, that is really cool. These are cool. Scott Williams uses a lot of this technique, the really, really thick and thin. You'll see it kind of on his exteriors, on Jim's stuff. I mean, they have a lot of detail on their work, so sometimes I think it gets like sort of it can blend in, and you may not notice as much. But look out for this stuff on Scott's work, because you will definitely see it. And the heavy spots can sometimes be in kind of unusual areas. Like, it doesn't necessarily follow like lighting cues. I mean, it doesn't. But yeah, there was a Superman poster that used to hang up at Wildstorm, and I'd walk past it all the time. It was the Jim had done a Batman cover with Batman sort of standing on a building, and then a Superman cover that kind of was the same pose, just in Metropolis. And I remember one day looking at it and going like, "Wow, it's crazy! Like where the thick lines are. Like it was really kind of interesting to see." But look, a lot of art is just style. It's confident. I was joking, calling it like confident baloney, where it's like you understand how to draw well, and you also understand how to move the eye through a drawing. So sometimes, the things that you do are more practicality than like reality. So it's fun. It's what I was saying. One of the things I had learned is the pages evolve very differently than I thought that they would. It's been an interesting process working with building panel to panel stuff. It's pretty enjoyable. The one page I was working on yesterday was actually quite a puzzle to solve, but I did it, and the layout ended up looking really, really cool. I'm drawing it today. I mean, I have it almost all penciled on the board now, but the inking part is where I kind of finish the drawings there, so it'll be fun. And I think Frank kind of did the same thing. I don't know if let's see if there's pencils in the back of this thing. And we can kind of hop around. We're not so much going sequential as just sort of checking everything out and chit-chatting. Is there any pencils? It's amazing that they were able to find all this work. I'm always kind of impressed by that. Oh, pencils? Come on, guys. A little gallery of pencils would have been fun. And either Dark Knight or Sin City does. Oh, it's nice. Oh, man, this is a huge fold-out. Wow. Hold on, let's do this. That is really cool. But see, again, that's when you pull out all the stops and go super rendery, as on like a splash image like this. But, storytelling page, you don't want people to stop that long on it. So you're better off having like less detail. And, the one thing you'll notice with sometimes storytellers is their sense of aesthetics isn't meaning like how beautiful the characters are portrayed, isn't really like a focus, whereas kind of more illustrated comics and depending on sort of what I mean, her face there is pretty wild. I'm not sure if they forgot to draw on her other eye. She's winking. But yeah, usually. Oh, okay, her eye's gone. Okay, you get a pass, Frank. Man, she's pretty roughed up. It's cool though. The thing is you could take this foundation and make it as fancy as you want. That's the good thing about people like Mignola and Frank in particular and even Buscema and Kirby, is you take the core ideas of what makes their work so powerful and impactful and memorable and dynamic and all these things, and you put your own spin on it. I think the best influences you can have as an artist, honestly, are people that you're really not that driven to draw like, because then you're gonna just assimilate their work into your stuff more seamlessly and just kind of use it the way that you see fit. So the more you draw too, the more your own style starts to come out, and I've told more and more people that it's really nothing that you even need to worry about. I would just do the best work that you can and do it any way that you can, and let it just sort of happen naturally. Use your imagination, try to keep things consistent, and create a language that's uniquely yours. And give nods to all your heroes. And that's kind of part of the fun too, is throwing some of those licks in. This is really nice, nicely drawn. Frank is solid. Like it can sometimes look like he's not, but I assure you, the guy can draw his ass off. I don't know chronologically. I can't remember off the top of my head if this came out, like, what the order. This is definitely before Sin City. I can't remember if this is before Dark Knight or after. Someone in the comments, if you know. I mean, I could obviously Google it. I'm not that lazy. But since I'm shooting the video, I'm not going to stop it for that. But yeah, this is good. This is good stuff for me to look at today. I can't really change styles like in the middle of my story. But, my one criticism of my own work right now would be that I definitely need to start scaling it down just a tiny bit in some spots, because the stuff will be colored, will be shrunk down, it will be lettered, so it's like I don't need to. You don't want to waste your time on things that really won't show up. But I always do say to people that, like, one nice thing is people go, "Oh, it looks so good in black and white." You have the opportunity to show this stuff in black and white now online, and you could do a sketchbook of your own stuff if you're not working with tons of like licensed characters, and there's plenty of opportunities to show the work in any kind of format that you want. It's definitely one of the perks of working on anything. That's a nice little panel. Oh, what did I just do? I think I snapped a photo. That's really cool. Wow, that's wild. Looks pretty cool. It's a little hard to read, but it's definitely got a very unique look to it. It's good. He's good with form. There's a lot of like three-dimensional perspective going on. He's quite good with that. I mean, the one I think it was Electra Lives Again. He's got those great panels with like the staircase and walking down. This is nice stuff. It'd be cool if they actually ever did artist edition of that. Maybe like they could have it split where the first half is just Frank's black and white work, and then Lynn's colors could be the back half, but done big. So I'm pretty sure she inked over printouts, or it colored it over printouts, but it's hand colored. Really beautiful work. They were quite a team. This page got really yellow. It's interesting. Again, it looks like it's glued down. I remember seeing that in something else that Frank did where he was cutting panels out. And yeah, again, you can see right here, this has definitely been cut out and then glued onto a page. So whatever it took, if he felt the storytelling wasn't to his liking, he had no problem going back and editing something later on in the story. And not everyone would have the luxury of that amount of time. But Frank was at a point in his career where he could call the shots a little bit more. So this is 16 panel page. It's pretty crazy. And it's a spread too, so this is nice. He's got the 5 panels here across the top. And then kind of the big shot down below. It's interesting. I was funny, as I was asleep last night, I was drawing in my dreams like so much. It was crazy. I have this really, really complicated shot that I have on this page, and it's drawn. I have it. I mean, it's all worked out, but I still have to ink it, and inking it is where I get the most nervous, because stuff that can look pretty good in pencil sometimes doesn't look. You ink it, and all of a sudden it's jet black, and it doesn't work out exactly the same. Like it doesn't read the same. It's a weird thing, but yeah, the black and white really is like, oh, okay, man, that is really clear now. Where in pencil you can kind of, fudge things a little bit, but anyway, but yeah, all night long I was just moving this drawing around in my head and like spinning it around and thinking about it from different angles and how I was gonna fully realize the pieces. It's interesting. My brain is definitely into it. Like it likes the process, so it's fun. But I'm sure Frank was like that too, where he would finish these pages and start thinking about it and go, you know what, those 3 panels here, they didn't move the way that I wanted the scene to do it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to redo them. And that's one of the advantages that you have when you've kind of streamed your style down a little bit is if a panel only takes you 30, 40 minutes to draw and another 30 minutes to ink, you would be more likely to maybe make a correction or change something that you would be frightened to if that same panel took you 6 or 7 hours. Wow, these are awesome. I'm a sucker for black, which is good and bad. A page like this would take a long time. He's definitely drawing a little bit with the white ink. But yeah, like this takes a long time to fill in the blacks. This is a lot of little shapes. And my concern is because I do like to use so much black that well, I saw it when I did that Long John comic book, which was a comic book that I penciled, inked, lettered, and wrote in 48 hours. So I did, I think, 22 pages in 48 hours. Plus a cover, and I would give myself about 90 minutes to do the pages around there. It started out an hour a page, and then I think it ended up taking 2 hours. Most of the time, though, believe it or not, it would take me longer to fill in the blacks on the pages sometimes than to ink it. Because when you're just outlining and stuff and you're not filling in the blacks, it's kind of quick. And yeah, like, going in and doing each one of these stair steps might take 10 minutes just to do this little section right here that I'm kind of zoomed in on. Whereas, outlining it, it takes like a minute. And you add that up over panel and panel and panel, it can really stack time onto it. So a lot of people, they'll have assistants that will fill in the blacks for them because it's not a complicated thing. If you can color in the lines and you've got a well laid out page, you can kind of leave that to someone else, but you run the risk. I'm going to set the phone down. These pages sometimes are hard to separate. Yeah, sometimes it will look disjointed, like the blacks are not blending in with the other stuff. That's so cool. Oh, I love that. What a great piece. Yeah, that's nice. It's a cool page. All right, well, I'm going to start to wrap this up. I actually need to get to work, but I was almost not going to do a super fun Sunday today, and then I just was like, you know what? I really want to. Here's the piece in black and white. Man, that is beautiful. This is a really good piece to end it on. But yeah, I mean, this sums it up, man. Tell stories with your drawings. Have fun with it. Just let it flow. Let it go. And you'll do good. And come over and check out my Patreon. This is where you can learn. Oh, I love that. That's nice. That's really good. He's like out. Okay, I will talk to you all later. Have a good week. I probably won't be back until next weekend. But I post pretty much daily on Patreon. So if you need to fix, this is a great page. Wow. Really, really cool. Okay, have a good one. Bye.